In this video, we will start a new topic, that is embryology. So first of all, what is embryology? So here, this is embryo and this is logy. So logy means study. Logy means study. So study of embryo is called embryology. Study of embryo is called embryology. Right. First of all, what is embryo? How it is formed? To know about the embryo, first of all, we have to start with the reproductive parts of the plant body, because this embryo, all these structures, they are related to reproduction. So we have to start with the reproductive parts of the plant body. First of all, if you take any plant body, it consists of two parts. They are called the vegetative parts and reproductive parts. So vegetative parts means like root system, the stem, the leaves, all these three structures, as well as it consists of buds are there. So regarding all these structures, roots, stems, leaves and buds, all these structures, they are generally regarded as the vegetative parts of the plant body. And regarding the reproductive structures, only one type of reproductive structures are present in the plant body, like the flowers. Flowers are the only reproductive structures of the plant body. So if you want to know about the embryo, first of all we have to start with the reproductive structures. So what are the reproductive structures in the plant body? These are nothing but, in case of angiosperms, they are called the flowers. They are called the flowers. So regarding the angiosperms we are talking about, because angiosperms are generally regarded as the flowering plants. So we are taking angiosperms as an example. We are discussing. So if you take the flowers, a flower means generally it consists of four different parts, like calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Again, out of these four parts, the first two parts, that means the calyx as well as the corolla, they are not related with the reproduction. That means directly they do not participate in the reproduction process. So in the flower also, these calyx and corolla are generally regarded as non-essential parts. That means they are not essential for the reproduction. They are not essential for the reproduction. So remaining two parts of the flower, that means the androecium as well as the gynoecium, only these two parts are directly concerned with the reproduction process. So that is the reason why this androecium and gynoecium are generally together called as the essential parts of the plant body. Essential parts of the reproduction. Essential parts of the reproduction. So if you take the flower, it consists of two essential parts. One is called as the androecium and second one is called as the gynoecium. So these two are together called as the essential parts of the flower. That means they are essential for the reproduction process. And out of these two parts, this androecium is generally regarded as the male reproductive part and gynoecium is generally called as the female reproductive part. That means these are the symbols for male and female. So this androecium that is represented with this symbol, and gynoecium is the female reproductive structure. So this is the male reproductive part and this is the female reproductive part of the flower. Next. And if you take the androecium, the units of androecium are generally called as the stamens. Units of androecium are called as the stamens. In the same way, the units of gynoecium are called as the carpels. They are called the carpels. Carpels. And if you observe the stamens, the important part of the stamen, where the reproductive structures are produced is called as the anther. The anther. In the same way, in case of carpel, the main important structure that participate is called as in case of carpel, the main important structure is called as ovary. That is called the ovary. So, what is anther and what is this ovary? If you observe the stamen, it observes like this. It appears like this. It consists of a basal stalk. This is called as the filament. It is called the filament. And these two lobes, they together constitute the anther, and the part where these two parts are attached together is called as the connective. That is called the connective. So out of these two parts, the terminal part that is generally regarded as the anther. This is the important part where the reproductive units are produced. So if you observe the stamens, they appear like this, or sometimes they appear like this. Can you find any difference between these two diagrams? Here, anther, it consists of two lobes, so it is called each lobe is called as a theca. Each one is called as a theca. So how many theca are there? Here it consists of two theca. So this type of anther is called as a dithecous anther. That is called a dithecous anther. But if you observe this diagram, how many lobes are there? How many theca are there? Only one. So because it consists of only one, this type of stamens are generally regarded as monothecous anthers. So this is a monothecous anther. This is a dithecous anther. So some plants they show the monothecous anthers, and some plants they exhibit this dithecous anthers. So whether it is monothecous or dithecous, internally they produce the certain structures that are essential for the reproduction process. So if you observe the stamen, what is the important part that is useful for the reproduction? That is the anther. So this is the anther, terminal part of the stamen that is present at the end of the filament as a lobe-like structures is called as anther. In the same way, if you observe the carpels, how it appears like this, it consists of, it appears like this. So it consists of a terminal part that is called the stigma, and this stalk-like part that is called the style, and the basal bulbous part that is called the ovary. So this basal part of the carpel that is that appears as a bulb-like structure is very important part because so many changes takes place internally. So this part is called the ovary. So in the carpels, the important part that is useful for the reproduction is the ovary, and the important part of the stamen that helps in the reproduction is the anther. Next step. And inside the anther, it produces microsporangium. In the same way, in the ovary, it produces megasporangium. It produces the megasporangium. This megasporangium is also called as the ovule. That is also called the ovule. So this microsporangium. So in the anther, it consists of the microsporangium. In the same way, in the ovary, that produces the megasporangium. This megasporangium is also called as the ovule. That is called the ovule. Next, and this microsporangium internally at the time of maturity it produces microspore mother cells. In the same way, in case of megasporangium or ovule, it produces megaspore mother cell. It produces megaspore mother cell. It produces megaspore mother cell. Right. And this microspore mother cell, it undergoes a division that is called as reduction division, that is otherwise called the meiosis. That is otherwise called the meiosis. So due to this reduction division, this microspore mother cells, they produce the microspores. Microspores. These microspores are also called as the pollen grains. They are called as the pollen grains. In the same way, this megaspore mother cell, after reduction division, it produces megaspore. It produces megaspore, and this megaspore is also called as the embryo sac. That is otherwise called as the embryo sac. Embryo sac. And afterwards, these microspores, it produce the male gametes. It produce the male gametes. In the same way, this megaspore, it produce the female gamete. It produce the female gamete. Female gamete. So afterwards, what happens? These male gametes as well as these female gametes both are joined together and they produce a structure that is called as the zygote. And the process of union of these male gametes as well as female gametes is called as the fertilization process. Is called the fertilization process. So after fertilization, it produces this structure called as the zygote. So if you observe the zygote, it appears like this. It is a globular structure. It is unicellular as well as uninucleate. Unicellular and uninucleate. And afterwards, this zygote undergoes development and it produces a structure that is called as the embryo. What is the difference between the zygote and the embryo? So this is single cell, single nucleated structure called the zygote. It undergoes repeated mitotic divisions and ultimately it produces a multicellular structure. Multicellular structure that is called as the embryo. So the study of this embryo is called the embryology. The study of this embryo is called the embryology. Right. So, if you want to know the embryo, you have to discuss regarding all these points. Without them, you cannot explain what is that embryo, what is this zygote. So, first of all, you have to introduce all these terms, and with the help of these terms, we can discuss regarding different topics of the embryology. So, in case of embryology, logy means study. What about we are studying? We are studying about the embryo. So study of embryo is called as embryology. So what is that embryo? So embryo means that is a word that is related to the reproductive parts of the plant body. So first of all we have to start with the reproductive parts of the plant body. So what are the reproductive structures in the plant body? These are nothing but called the flowers. So if you take the flowers, it consists of 4 different parts called as calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Out of these 4 parts, this calyx and corolla are generally regarded as the non-essential parts. That means they are not useful for the reproduction. That means they directly do not participate in the reproduction. So they are called as the non-essential organs, and the remaining 2 parts called the androecium and gynoecium, they directly participate in the reproduction process. So these 2 parts are generally regarded as the essential organs of the plant body. So this androecium and gynoecium are the important structures of the flower that directly participate in the reproduction process. So regarding this androecium and gynoecium, what are these different structures they are producing? So regarding these points we will discuss once again in the next video. Thank you.